Farming in today's economic environment costs a lot more than just money. And this is the one thing that a lot of people do not want to talk about, because when we look at the real cost that comes when you're trying to build a successful family farm operation or a legacy that you can pass on to the next generation, finances are just one small part of it. We need to really look at the real cost that is impacting us in every other area of our life. Now, inside today's video, we're going to talk about some of these painful and just uncomfortable topics that most people avoid. So let's get to it. All right, guys. So the first point here that I want to talk about is something I call the pain web. Now, inside of Legacy Farmer, we live by a concept called Core 4. Now, Core 4, when we are talking about this, it's covering 4 key aspects of your life. And the first one is body, which is your physical health and your nutrition and things like that. The second one is being and your connection to God or your purpose, but also to the stories that consume your mind on a daily basis. The third piece is going to be balance, which is your relationship with your spouse, your kids, and any other key or important relationships in your life. And then the last one is business, and that is number 4. The reason that business is number 4 is because all these other areas of life, these are the really important ones that are ultimately going to feed into your business, or honestly take away from your business as well. Now, we've had a lot of customers come into Legacy Farmer over the years, and everybody comes in because they're having business problems, right? Or financial problems, challenges, and things like that they're wanting to get solved. Now, we can solve all of those things inside of Legacy Farmer by just getting some simple structure and organization in place. So for the first time, our customers have financial clarity and what the heck is going on in my operation? Where's my money going and things like that? We get all those tracking systems set up. Now, the thing is, though, is that this problem goes far beyond just finances, right? We can get those things organized in the business, but the reality is there's going to be other things happening in their life that has proven to ultimately keep them held back from making changes inside the business that the numbers are clearly telling us we need to do. So for example, if somebody is having a hard time in their business, but the root problem that they're dealing with is being, and the numbers are telling us, hey, we need to make some big decisions, but it involves this customer maybe having a difficult conversation with their parents or with their business partners or something like that. The real issue here is a being issue, because this person may want to avoid that conversation altogether because it gives them anxiety, it gives them stress. They're worried about what the other person is going to think about what they're saying. They're worried about somebody else's opinion of them. Those are all being issues that create stories that consume our mind. And that is one of the most important things that I want people to understand is, yes, it's very simple to know what to do inside of the business. It's these other aspects of life that ultimately hold the business back. And that was a perfect example there that I've seen time and time again. Let's talk about balance, for example, right? Let's say you need to make a big decision inside the business or make some big moves, but you got to get your spouse on board. Well, the thing is, if you haven't invested in that relationship over the past 10 years or 20 years, however long you've been married, then ultimately you're going to get some pushback immediately, right? And you may want to avoid that conversation altogether because maybe your spouse doesn't trust you, right? Maybe you haven't made good financial decisions. Maybe you've been dragging them along and just saying, hey, honey, give me one more year. Give me one more year. And you've continued to do that year after year. And guess what? I totally feel you there. And as a man, when things were not working out financially, I felt like a complete failure as a father and a husband and just a leader inside of my family. I hated that time in my life. And ultimately, right, if I had problems when it comes to balance and my wife doesn't trust me, what does that do to me mentally? Right? That leads into a being problem. And then if that leads into a being problem and things are going on negatively up here and you just don't have any drive or motivation, then how's that going to impact you from a body standpoint as well? Are you going to take care of yourself? Are you going to work out? Right? The reality is, a majority of people know that the number one way to basically kill stress and anxiety is to go get a good workout in, right? And you feel so much better afterwards. But most people, we don't do that, right? We get so trapped in our own mind. It's like our own mind becomes a prison for us and we just can't escape. Again, the business and the numbers are telling us exactly what to do. But the thing is in Legacy Farmer, we can help customers do that. It's these other areas of life, though, that we also have to focus on, which is why Legacy Farmer is really a full comprehensive program around transforming a business owner so that they're on fire in every area of their life and we're solving problems across the board. And this is the type of stuff, again, that most people don't want to talk about, because when you're not in a good space mentally and you're just not confident in yourself and everything like that, this can be just a negative karmic cycle that goes on for years for some people. Like, it literally, these stories of failure and I can't do this and nothing's working out and nothing's in favor for me, like, no, just can't do it. You know what I mean? And so these are the things, again, a lot of people don't want to talk about, but we're going to hit them head on inside of Legacy Farmer because, yes, we can help people in the business, but man, we have to help people in these other key areas of life as well. And with the pain web, though, again, most people come in for business problems, but once we solve the business problems, then we start working on the real problems, which we can look at that as either being in body, being, or balance. And that is where the real tough work starts for us and our customers. Now, the next point, guys, that I want to talk about is how these business problems will cause a man or woman or the business owner, whatever, to sedate in other areas of life. So for example, we get into a tough business situation, right? And your spouse wants to talk to you about the numbers and what's going on inside the business. It's super easy for us to find ways to sedate that pain, right? And to not have to face it head on. For customers in our industry, the immediate thing is, hey, I'm just going to go work some more, right? And the reality is, like, how much of the work are you doing when you're sedating and using work to sedate and avoid the tough things that you need to actually do? How many of those hours are actually productive, right? Or are you just working to work and you're not really generating any ROI on your time and you're just kind of wasting time because you want to avoid those things? This is the first major sedation mechanism that our customers will use. The other things are more real, like drugs, like alcohol, like these things that really impact people at a massive level. These, again, are things that people do not want to talk about. But one of the biggest challenges here, though, too, that I've seen with our customers over the years is, man, it's tough when you're by yourself all day long. If you don't have control of what's going on up here, you are not consistently working on this on a daily basis, it is so easy to feel like a prisoner trapped inside your own mind with the devil, essentially, just taking you around the loop over and over and over again. And it's negative story after negative story. And you just don't feel like you can escape, right? I'm saying this because I've been there. 100% I've been there, and I have to do daily work to make sure I don't go back to that place, because whenever we face a business challenge or we go into hard economic times or low grain prices like we're currently living in, it's easy to go there, and I totally get that. But again, though, it's just going to bleed over into other areas of your life, and it causes business owners to sedate with these things that we know are ultimately not going to benefit them long term, like drugs, like porn, like alcohol, like work, doing things that ultimately aren't going to solve the business problems. And this is another major thing that we have to talk about with our customers inside of Legacy Farmer. And guys, too, this isn't just for customers that are doing $250,000, a year in revenue. I have this discussion with people that are doing $5 to $10 to $15 million a year in revenue and have a balance sheet with equity up to 30 million plus, right? This is happening for every business owner at every level of business. And the thing is, though, too, is as the business grows, these other areas become even more dangerous because you are taking on more risk. There's more responsibility. There's more weight that you feel as a business owner as the business grows. So we have to make sure we're staying on point in these other areas so that person does not fall and take the business plus everyone else down with them. All right, guys. So now the last topic here that I want to talk about is definitely the tougher one for me to share and everything here. But, there's a reason that the ag industry is the industry with the highest suicide rate, right? And when I talk about all these other things here and what happens in a person's mind, when that goes on for years and they feel like they're literally working every single year for nothing and not gaining any ground, and they feel like a failure, they feel like they can't provide or protect for their family, they feel like, what the hell am I doing here, right? I can totally see how people get to the point where it's like, yeah, suicide's on the table. And that's why it's so important here with the work that we do in Legacy Farmer. Yeah, we want to help people out business-wise, but man, we got to help them out in these other areas as well, because if we don't, those areas are the ones that tear everybody down. Those areas are the ones that are going to make you fall off the cliff, right? And ultimately, that's where we're not taking care of those areas and making sure that we are working on body, being, balance, and business all at the same time, this is where suicide gets on the table. And it breaks my heart that this happens. But man, I've had a couple calls with people over the years that it turned into a suicide prevention call because they were at that level. And again, these weren't small operations. These were very large operations, but the people, they couldn't see a way out. And they also looked at every problem that the business was facing as their own, right? It was their fault. It was the weight of the world was on their shoulders. And it's even worse if you are a third, fourth, or fifth generation operation and you're going through this time in your life, because not only do you feel the weight of all the work that you and your family have put into it during your lifetime, but you feel the weight of every generation before you as well. And the one story that you're scared of is, I do not want to be the generation that loses it all. You know what I mean? And that's tough. Like, unless you're in it, that's tough to experience for a person. And we've had several of those conversations over the years. But again, though, too, like, that's what I'm talking about here. This is why I can see why it's so easy for people in our industry to get to where suicide is on the table, because you have these negative karmic thoughts that are just going on over and over and over again in your mind. Things aren't working out well. You blame yourself. But then also, too, you spend all day by yourself. So if you are not in control of what's going on up here, the devil's running that mind all day long. And I can totally see why people get to this point. So until we start having that conversation around getting other areas of life on point, yeah, we're going to continue to face these things. Yeah, you know, the other point though too is that I've seen, again, just working with customers, is once we get just finances structured and organized, and they can finally for the first time have some clarity on the strengths and weaknesses in the business, but also too have some clarity on like what's our game plan going to be going into the next year. Guys, I have seen it time and time again where there's just a weight dropped when people finally have some level of structure and organization and just clarity into the numbers. That stress and that anxiety, it diminishes rapidly there. And so that also then too is going to bleed into the other areas of life in a positive way. And that's what we want, right? We want people to have less stress and anxiety when it comes to the numbers, have clarity in the finances, because then it's going to spark motivation in other areas of life as well. They're going to be happy to talk about the numbers with their spouse, for example, or they're going to wake up and ready to go to work, ready to work out, and ready to take care of things going on up here, ready to build a better connection to God and their purpose, or whatever that may be. And this is just, again, these are the things that we've seen happen over and over and over again with our customers. This is why it's so important to focus on these other areas as well. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you took away some things from it. I know a lot of you watching this, if you are in one of those areas of your life that's tougher and you're kind of in your own pit right now, I can guarantee that you connected with everything I said today. Now, guys, at the end of the day, the very last topic I talked about was just getting your numbers structured and organized and how much that decreases your stress and anxiety. Well, right now, you can actually click on the link below this video and sign up for a free trial into our software called Metrics. Now, inside of that, you're going to see a training program. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to get your numbers structured and organized. So for the first time in a long time, you can be clear on the strengths and weaknesses in your business, but also to have clarity on what your strategy needs to be going forward. So click the link below and get started with our software, and we'll see you in the next video.